Hey everyone, CWD Music Reviews here. I'm CWD and this is going to be a music review of the new Lupe Fiasco album, DROGAS Light. Lupe Fiasco is a rapper who has been around for quite a while now, since the early to mid 2000s. I first got into this guy when I first listened to Kanye West's Late Registration, when he had a guest verse on the song Touch the Sky. It was pretty cool. It was definitely a worthwhile feature. It definitely did enhance that track, but I can't say I've dove into a lot of what Lupe has put out in the past, especially since a lot of people shat on Lasers. And the album Tetsuo and Youth, while well received for its conceptuality and its return to form for Lupe Fiasco, they didn't really compel me to listen to that one all the way through either. But given the fact that he did come back, per se, the fact that he has 2 more albums after that, which shows quite a bit of ambition on his part, I didn't see a whole lot of reason to not check this album out, since he definitely, from tracks that I've heard in the past, is capable and is definitely kind of thought-provoking as a lyricist, and maybe he could win me over as a fan by giving me a whole album of meat in terms of music. So after giving this thing a few listens, that 7 out of 10 review that Lupe has given his own album, very generous on his part, because I did not really care for this thing that much. It's not horrible. I can definitely see quite a few people liking it, especially Lupe fans, especially fans of this pop rap and trap rap style, but me personally, I would rather go to other records than this. This album's about 14 tracks in length. It's about an hour long. But despite the fact that it is an hour, and this is kind of impressive on his part, it is definitely not feeling like an hour long. The longest track on the album being about 7 minutes, even if that track is kind of overblown, but I'll get to that. My issue kind of comes right out of the gate when it gets to the opening track, Dopamine Lid Intro. It's okay. I do like this track. I definitely like the hard-hitting and kind of jagged vocal samples that are on the beat here. It's definitely hard-hitting, even if it's a little compressed, and that's kind of the same thing with each individual track here. The beats, even some of the lower-key ones or the poppier ones, are pretty much up front and just so overblown that you can't help but feel like you're getting punched in the face with sound. Which can be cool for a few tracks, but for an entire album to do this, it kind of gets pretty desynthesizing to like take in all this hard-hitting sound. Plus Lupe himself, while yeah, he's definitely a capable rapper, he definitely demonstrates a lot of ability. It's just lyrically, he kind of sounds pretty unfocused in a way. He pretty much sounds more like he's freestyling for 4 minutes or something. Plus the hook on here is just random nonsense he's uttering. And when he does come through with a verse, there's lines here like made it behind like AIDS, and I believe there's also a line that where he says selling sex at a cockfight. To me, this is pretty much to Lupe Fiasco what On Sight was to Kanye West on Yeezus. A cool track and all, but overblown and loaded with lines that really make me cringe. And on a production front, there's only so many tracks here I can say that I like in terms of instrumentation, so long as Lupe is not distracting me with whatever the hell he's doing. NGL is cool. It's definitely hard-hitting and definitely is kind of dramatic in its own right. I do like the beat on Promise as well, this kind of trap-ish type beat with like this cello, I believe, that's looped. Made in the USA is hard-hitting as fuck. It definitely sounds like some really dirty South shit that I like. The track Kill I do like in terms of instrumentation. I like how it sounds really low-key and inconspicuous before it eventually transitions into this really upbeat gospel thing. It definitely emphasizes the theme of the Saturday night at a strip club versus the Sunday morning at a church. And I do like how goddamn funky the track It's Not Designed is. It definitely has a lot of really groovy bass to it, even if, again, this instrumental is overblown. And that's unfortunately the thing with this album. Every instrumental here is just way too upfront. Everything about the volume is put up to max, and that is pretty polarizing, and over time kind of abrasive. Plus there's instrumental shifts that I just really don't care for, like the track City of the Year, which sounds like some really generic pop rap type thing, especially with this auto-tune singing on the hook that I just really don't care that much for. Along with the track Law, which sounds like a wonky Flume instrumental that probably should have stayed a Flume instrumental on some kind of low-key EP of some kind. I'm not sure. I think the worst song, in my opinion, in terms of instrumentation is the track High, Interlude. It's 4 minutes long, even though it's an interlude. And it's pretty much this EDM instrumental that sounds like it features a couple of Lupe Fiasco verses, instead of a Lupe Fiasco song that's driven by a EDM instrumental. Especially these annoying little up-pitched vocals that don't really go all that well. I don't mind the build and the drop, but it just feels particularly unrewarding. I've been to a club that's got dirtier shit than this. But apart from that, Pick Up the Phone, Wild Child, and to an extent More Than My Heart, it sounds more so like some late registration or graduation era Kanye West shit. When it's not doing a trap instrumental thing on the first half, or kind of a Dirty South thing on the first half, or with the track Tranquillo, which I like a lot, especially with the Rick Ross and the Big Crit features that are on that track. Listen to that Big Crit feature. I've been sleeping on this man's projects for a minute now, and I keep slapping myself in the face because of it. When it's not doing that type of thing, it's either doing this generic pop rap that I don't like, or it's doing these kinda off-kilter and not in a really good way type of EDM and wonky and electronic type stuff. Now, as far as Lupe's verses go, what he's saying on this album, it's not as great either. I would say that the production is kind of the single consistent strong thing the album has got going for it, even if I don't really care for the production about maybe 66% of the time. Because yeah, with Dopamine Lit intro, it does sound like he has all these bars that sound more freestyle-ish, and you get lines that are pretty cringeworthy. But there are some moments that I kind of like the track NGL. I get the sentiment it's about the fact that you're not always going to win, but why is it gotta be phrased in such a way like people are going to lose regardless of what goes on and what you do and who you are? Because of the Wall Street people, the fact that there's systematic racism in the music industry, because the courts don't favor you that well, and yada yada yada. The track Promise, it sounds like a track Future wrote, or even Designer wrote. Lupe just removes the mumbling aspect of the whole mumble rap thing, and it sounds clear, but he's not really saying anything that compelling. I think my favorite track on the album in terms of lyricism, or at least in terms of Lupe himself, would be the track Made in the USA. God, the hook is so catchy. Made in the USA! Made in the USA! But again, I'm not sure what the theme he's going for is with this track. He is pretty much highlighting all these states, like the KKK from Indiana. That Lean was made in Houston, Texas, when the police are ruthless, reckless. His mama's from Mississippi. This rap shit is from New York. He's just highlighting all these things, and I'm not sure what the correlation is, aside from, yeah, these things are from this nation. But I do like how charismatic he is on this track, and in context of the rest of the album, this is one of the better tracks. But pretty much from City of the Year and onward, there's not really a whole lot to report in terms of what Lupe is saying. He gets cringeworthy, he gets kind of sappy for the most part. He does sound pretty hard-hitting on Tranquillo though. And the track Kill, I used to really like the song a lot, especially given, again, that theme of the strip club at Saturday nights and Sunday mornings at the church. But then I realized that Ty Dolla $ign and Lupe Fiasco's own features here, their own verses, they're not all that fleshed out, and they come off as pretty underwhelming, especially Lupe's. He sounds like, again, a guest verse on his own album. Although I need to talk about Ty Dolla $ign for a second though. His voice has cleared up a lot since I last heard him. Where was this Ty Dolla $ign a few months ago when I last heard Mac Miller's latest album? I did like that track a lot. I'm just saying he sounds a lot less croaky and raspish. But I hope he doesn't surrender his rasp on tracks that do need rasp, but I digress. The track It's Not Designed lyrically is kind of incohesive in terms of lyrical message. There's something about going up into a spaceship to like get some kind of spacesuit, I guess, to make sure you're reinvigorated because I guess you have some kind of issues with sexual arousal or something. I'm not 100% sure what the track's about. It makes no sense. And the track More Than My Heart, it's another song about your mama. And it's pretty much sap galore. I mean, I like that rappers honor their mothers in songs, but there's nothing unique about this one in particular. So the album is pretty much mired by either the production or Lupe or some unique combination of the two. It's not to say that this album is terrible or even bad. I just didn't think it was that great or even good. Lupe fans will definitely eat this up given the fact that he's still pretty much delivering all these hard-hitting flows. He definitely has quite a bit of character to his bars here, even if it lacks identity throughout the course of the album. And they might also dig the fact that the production, while, yeah, overcompressed, is pretty hard-hitting. It's definitely worth checking out at least a couple times. However, outside of that, outside of the hip-hop fans that either love Lupe or like Lupe or have this kind of dedication towards Lupe's music, they're not really going to find much of anything that's particularly interesting about what Lupe is delivering. I certainly don't. I think on the next project he's going to make, one of the two other ones he's supposedly making, what he needs to do is evaluate a concept, like he did supposedly with Tetsuo and Youth. He needs to take a concept and he needs to flesh it out in a particularly intricate way. And he needs to put a little more thought into his lyricism. He needs to put more thought in the producers he brings on to do his projects. And he needs to pretty much spend quite a bit of time trying to get back in that mindset that he needs to come back from lasers. Because right now, with this album, he might as well have not gotten my attention with Tetsuo and Youth. This album is a negative 0.8 out of +3. Yeah, I didn't like this thing, but I didn't hate it either or necessarily thought it was bad. If you're a Lupe fan, you'll probably like this a lot more than me. If you're a hardcore hip-hop fan that likes this trap rap sound, this pop rap sound, you'll definitely like this a lot more than I did. But if you give this album a listen, what'd you think of it? Did you like this album? Did you dislike this album? What was your reasoning for that, and what should I consider listening to and reviewing next? CW Music Reviews here, signing off.